you'd find my grandfather's house.
Oh, really?
It's still standing. That's the house he was born in 1907. They put it on the tours occasionally, and his grandfather was president of the Wabash Cabinet Company.
Okay.
So if you see old Wabash Cabinet furniture, that was my great-great-grandfather's.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yep, he's still buried in the mausoleum in Wabash, and there's one slot left.
Yeah.
And my daughter really wants to have that last slot because she'd like to be buried in a mausoleum for some reason. Too many creepy horror movies, I think. Okay, well, it is 5:15, so we will go ahead and officially call the meeting of the Warsaw Board of Aviation Commissioners for the City of Warsaw to order. You shall have received all of your documents related to this. First set of documents, first thing on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes from the March meeting.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Okay, I've got the claims called up on my little screen here. Nick, what do you want to talk to us about regarding these claims?
Nothing's super big out of the ordinary. As you guys see, we had our insurance payment for the year. We did finally get that switched to the beginning of the year, so that will make it easier for us moving forward. Instead of having that claim in August or September, it'll be in January now moving forward with this cleanup. So it just makes it easier for us when we're doing all of our year, at the beginning of the year claims. Other than that, unless you guys have a specific question on something, pretty standard month.
You got Lowe's and Menards. What kind of equipment were you getting there?
Just projects for spring, getting some stuff for landscaping, and trying to think if there's anything too big outside of some building materials. You'll have to swing by, Gene. The pilot's lounge is now done. The ceiling in the boardroom is complete as well. So finishing up the terminal project and just starting to get things round and ready for outside with
You
it.
finally got the cabinets?
No. I don't want to talk about that.
They're on their way, right?
Did receive confirmation that they are on a truck on their way here today.
For the second time.
Well, I hope you had better luck. We ordered some real simple stuff. Form ties, concrete form ties. We ordered them from a company in Fort Wayne that we routinely do business with. Asked them this morning where the ties are. Well, they've been delivered. Well, no, they haven't. Come to find out, they shipped them and delivery was received, somebody in Oklahoma. How in the hell they got from Fort Wayne to Oklahoma?
Oh, my.
That's nuts.
That'd be the kind of thing, if they were sitting around, you'd notice it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no expert on construction, but yeah, okay, that's
Yeah,
not
it
like
makes
losing
no
a
sense.
job.
What we
want,
Yeah,
Total incompetence
amazing.
on somebody's part.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, do we have a motion regarding the claims?
I move we accept the claims, especially the $27,938.64 for AXA Aviation Group and the $254.01 for DTS Aviation Equipment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Motion carried. Okay, engineers report. Is it Nathan today?
It is Nathan
Okay.
and Nathan.
Just Nathan.
Okay. Go ahead, Nathan. What do you got for us?
All right, good evening. Hope everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Very good, all right. So I've got a few things to update the board on tonight, and also a handful of motions that we need to take action on as well. So we'll kick it off with the runway 27 construction project. The project in general is moving forward. AEP is.
Do you want to
continuing keep
share your
it
screen,
moving.
Nathan? Share your screen, please.
Let me share my screen, that'd be helpful, wouldn't it?
It's easier to follow along.
Here I was talking to an agenda that I can't be sharing, so. Is that big enough for you guys to see in the room?
Zoom it in just a little bit, please.
There.
Much better.
That work good?
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
I'll make our screen bigger too.
Okay, fire away.
Yeah, so with the AEP project moving along, they did hit a little bit of a snag with schedule. They've been working with IDNR to get access and procure an easement for some tree removals. And the reaction from DNR pushed them beyond the April 1st deadline for the Indiana bat season. So consequently, what that meant was they could either pursue a bat study, or they could wait and delay the outage a month, which means moving from September to October. And by doing that, it saves the cost and the effort of going through a bat study, and we still result in a fourth quarter 24 completion date, which ultimately that's what we were anticipating from the early onset. So, you know, the upside will save a little money on the project and alleviate the hassle of going through a formal bat study. So. We've still been a squeaky wheel with AP on cost, trying to stay ahead of that as it relates to the grant to make sure that we're staying in step with that. They're looking to go out to bid for the remainder of their vendors and contractors that are going to be doing the work. In the coming weeks, we're expecting that they'll be in the midst of finalizing their bids, and so I would say probably by this time in May that we should be starting to see some numbers come in, and we can have a better discussion, a better update for the board at that time.
Nathan, my admiration to you for using the phrase bat study 3 times without giggling. I was very impressed by that.
CHA does employ the Batman.
Yeah. Mhm.
They do.
We do.
Yeah.
We have an unofficial Batman on staff, so.
Who's Robin?
It depends on the day.
I'd say Rob.
He's sidekick material.
General, that's the project status at this point, but we do have, for board action tonight, motion for the board to approve and authorize signature on CHA's invoice number 13 for this task order number 2, in the amount of $2,592.09. Of that, $129.61 is the local share. The remainder is federal at $2,332.88, and a state share of $129.60.
The dumb question back to the roosting situation, Nathan, but who actually does that? Is there a subcontractor hired just to do the tree trimming and cutting?
So it's under AEP's umbrella as a whole. I don't know if that's something they do in-house, the actual tree trimming and cutting, or if they hire local contractors to do the work for them. But it was an issue more so of getting access to the property through DNR.
Right. Well, we just want to make sure that they're ready to go come October 1. You know,
Yes.
we don't want that to get pushed off by somebody else's tree trimming requirements. At least I don't.
Correct.
Other questions for Nathan on the project?
No.
Go ahead. Consider a motion for approval of CHA invoice 58412.2-13.
Oh,
Moved. Do I hear a second?
second. Okay.
Or a motion in 2 seconds, so that works out. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Oh.
Moving on to the runway 927 research area, also known as the RSA study. So we are in the midst of wrapping up 2 components One is the RSA study itself, the other is the forecast. Those will be concluded here at the end of the week. And these versions incorporate a combination of FAA and comments, as well as some coordination with Nick and our team to finalize. So this will be going back to the FAA and NDOT early next week for their final review. So next steps that come out of that, once we resubmit, the plan is that we will set up an in-person meeting at the Chicago ADO office with FAA staff. Most likely, NDOT will attend virtually, but we will extend that personal invite if they so choose to be in attendance with us. The objective of that meeting is to go over the report, the findings, and what the recommendations are. And then from there, finalize the report and seek the approvals of both the forecast and the study itself. And that'll conclude, the overarching RSA evaluation for Warsaw, for the airport as a whole. And so then we'll move on to bigger and better things on the CIP, and including improvements to 927. Any questions on the RSA study or forecast or?
I move we allow approval of Jay's signature and pay the invoice number 9, in the amount of $13,610.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried.
Let's move on to taxi lane E1. This one we have 3 different board actions that we'll discuss, but just a quick update on the project in general. So we went through the public bidding process starting back in late February with the bid opening in mid-March. We received 2 bids for the project, and we are looking at the apparent low bidder, as Penn & Brown. Their bid proposal was found to be responsive and responsible in accordance with the bidding requirements and the contract documents. And it was within the overall budget that was allocated with the state grant that's in play for this work. So on top of that, Nick and my team have been working with NDOT's Office of Aviation to finalize the work, the descriptions that go into the grant, so that we can get, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, the state refers to it as a purchase order, even though it
believe
is
so, yeah. Mhm.
a state grant that will be in place. So, based on those updates, we do have board action number 1, which is approval to award and enter into contract with Penn & Brown in the amount of $1,242,513, and that award would be contingent upon receipt of the state grant or purchase order for the taxi lane E1 project. Is it easier for me to read the other motions and then go back?
No, we just do them one at a time here. We're fine. Any further discussion about the award of the contract? Any questions anybody has?
Nathan, what was the
Okay.
other bid that was submitted?
The second bid was Brooks Construction out of Fort Wayne.
But it was a higher bid, correct?
It was, correct.
Okay.
What was it?
I don't have the exact numbers pulled up, but they were approximately 370,000 apart.
Do you know what it was, Nick?
I would have to go back and look.
Actually, hang on just a second. Okay, so, Brooks, their bid was $1,699,779.
$457,000 more than Fenton Brown.
Yeah.
Right. And the engineer's estimate, our estimate was at $1,614,490.
Okay, so you want a motion awarding the contract to Fenton Brown contingent upon receipt of the state grant for the project?
Correct.
I make the motion.
So
Second.
moved. So moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried.
The second item associated with the E1 project is task order number 6, extra work authorization number 1. This is related to, for CHA, it's the corresponding construction phase services, so administration, observation, and material testing that goes along with the work. So this would be an amendment or what we're calling an extra work authorization of an increased amount of $214,956. And this would bring our task order number 6 total value to $386,180. And again, this is all part of the state grant that is in place.
Now, make sure I understand what you're telling us, Nathan. Does that mean that the grant required more work than was originally anticipated, or is this just the increase, just the natural division of how much work was going to be done? I mean, and if so, why so much extra work?
Sure. This is more or less a natural progression. We typically try to hold back on developing construction services ahead of having the design complete, just so we know specifically what the duration of the contract time needs to be based on the design, what extent of quantity is there for testing purposes, things like along those lines. So this was part, when we submitted the estimate to the state for this project, it included these divisions of work. We just didn't have it specifically under contract until we got the design and the bid completed.
Okay, so it was originally anticipated, it just wasn't
Yes.
necessarily part of what you were gonna do yet until the other things.
Correct.
Okay,
And this isn't related to the taxiway.
Correct.
okay.
It's a big increase, so.
Yeah, well, I understand it now, so. Any other questions?
To move it.
Your turn, Dan?
My turn.
You wanna make a motion?
I'll make the motion, yeah.
Okay.
Make the motion to approve the increase for CHA by $214,956, bringing a total to $386,180.
Do I hear a second?
Yep, second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Okay, third, and you got some money on an invoice coming in.
Yeah, third and final item, this is on the design and bidding services. So we have CHA invoice number 58412.6-04. This is in the amount of $12,172.25. And with this particular grant, this is completely state funded, so there is no local share.
I'll happily make that motion.
The motion has been enthusiastically made. Do I hear a similarly enthusiastic second?
Second.
Very good. Yeah, it was. I could tell. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Anything for me to sign on this one?
Very good. So moving on with taxiway B, so got some favorable feedback from the FAA in last week that the environmental, aka the CADX, is making its rounds through the FAA, the approval letter that is, for review, so we should see that letter at any time. What that means is then we can then officially start the process of getting the grant in place for the design for rehabilitation of taxiway B. And then just the last item here on general services. So this is more of an ongoing update, just continuing to work with Nick on local initiatives and project CIPs and providing input and updates to Nick and the mayor's office and so forth as things have been requested or needed. So I think that covers my report for tonight.
Okay.
Now, I talked to Nick a little bit a week or so, a couple weeks ago, and I was wondering if you had a chance to talk to CHA about my inquiry about any possibility while this was happening on E1 to widen the portion from the main taxiway to Image Air's ramp.
Yeah, Nathan, we talked briefly, and you'll have to refresh me. I don't know if you could hear Dan, but the question was, can we widen the taxi lane from Alpha to the north side of Image Air, since that's where the larger aircraft are? And when we looked at it, we thought, I remember if we had to widen it, we were going to have to do, what's that new rule that the FAA's got?
Yeah, so it boils down to if we change the geometry, it triggers the requirement to meet new standards, which I think works against the current geometry that's there. It may actually be a narrower taxi lane than what's there, even though you have some larger aircraft using it currently.
If we sought to widen it, we would have to end up narrowing it. Did I just hear that?
Yep.
That's, in short, yes.
Only the government can come up with stuff like that. That's incredible.
Seems like it's not moving the right direction, but
So
What do I know? I'm just a lawyer.
the same logic applies if we tried to take the whole thing as is and just shift it over? Okay.
Correct, yeah, so, and it really is splitting hairs to a certain degree of what it is, but essentially, if you're doing anything that would require sub-base preparation for pavement, especially new pavement or widened pavement or extended pavement, that triggers certain metrics, no matter where the funding's coming from, that you would need to meet current design standards.
Okay.
Rehabilitations, like what we're doing, even doing the full depth reclamation for E1, that's still within the confines of a rehab, and so that doesn't trigger those requirements to improve the geometry.
You know, every year I get somebody stops by my house and says, we got some extra asphalt. While you're here, we'd like to leave it for you. What happens if someone just leaves some extra asphalt right there along the corner? That answers the question. Okay. That's all the answer I need, Nathan. Fine.
Just doesn't want to hear about it.
That's right. I'll send them out there. That's just a joke.
It's one of these.
Yeah.
David, that's just a joke. You understand that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Are they having trouble turning or what?
Okay.
That was Brad Lafayette that said that?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
When Zimmer has
Yeah.
their
Any,
airplane parked in front of the hangar. It takes up a lot of space,
Tight
and
fit.
when Image Air takes their big airplane past,
And there's not room for
there's,
that.
it's really tight.
Tight.
Yeah.
Dan, I have some creative ways that we're looking at fixing that locally.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
okay, any other questions? Thank you, Dan, for bringing that to our attention and getting that nonsensical answer. Not, your answer was not nonsensical, it was the original source.
It's unfortunate that logic doesn't enter into these discussions.
Yeah, logic does not always enter into it. Anything further for Nathan?
Nope.
Okay, thank you,
you.
sir, appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Nathan.
you.
What you got for us, Nick? Your turn.
Well, it was a weird month. As John and Dan can probably attest, we've had some of the cheapest fuel in the state. We were able to purchase a load pretty quickly after Christmas. We received it, and we were competitively priced then. Well, then fuel has shot up and gotten quite expensive over the last 4 to 5 weeks. And so we were the cheapest fuel in the area by 75, 80 cents, and pilots flying through from the East Coast were paying $2 or $3 more a gallon back at home. And so we saw a very large month in general aviation.
Good.
It was a great month, yeah. So last year for 100 low lead, we sold 4,163.1 gallons year to date. So far, and I just lost my number, it's $7,805, or 7,805 gallons, 5.9 gallons. It's almost double what we had sold from last year. And that was because of the price. We did just get in a new load of fuel last week, so everybody's very sad, but we're still anywhere from 5 to 15 cents cheaper than the other airports around here, or more.
Yeah.
So we're still very competitively priced.
Good.
And then Jet A was almost exactly 2,000 gallons less. So we're still up for the year, still going strong, just very strong GA month.
Excellent.
And outside of that, I don't have too much else for you unless you guys have specific questions on different stuff we've got going on at the airport.
Just
When should we plan to come out and look at the terminal?
Whenever you would like.
Okay.
I can send out an email as soon as the cabinets are in, and we can have everybody out. And
Please do that. I've been,
Yep.
when I was there, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was a mostly done project. but-
Yep.
a customer of mine made a off-the-cuff comment. He didn't even know I was on the board or anything, this board. And he's from out of state, moved in here recently. And he goes, "This is a really nice community." He goes, I really like it. He goes, I've only got one complaint so far. And I said, "Well, what's that?" He goes, "I wish you had some commercial flights in and out of here." I said, "Well, we'd like to see that too, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen."
Yeah,
Not real quick.
that's a stretch. Okay, got anything else?
I
Nick?
don't.
Anything else for the good of the order from the board?
Nope, nope.
Okay, well, meeting adjourned, and our next meeting is May 12th? 14th, okay. That's right, Sunday, Mother's Day is May
Yeah.
12th, so, okay. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you
Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Thanks, Nathan.
You bet. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.